Welcome back to Sims Complete, part of the Believe Sports Network, sponsored by FanDuel. And big guy, not really that exciting of a weekend in the NFL. A lot of blowout wins. A few surprises, of course. We'll get to the Texans' great win over the San Francisco 49ers, right? That's definitely one that I wasn't really predicting or thinking. I know how good the Texans defense was, but still a surprising win for them. Of course, Green Bay with a big-time win on the road. But let's start with our beloved New York Giants. That's what we're going to start all of our conversations with here today. And the New York Giants, a devastating loss on multiple levels. They lose this football game to the Philadelphia Eagles 38-20 on the road after beating the champs just a few weeks ago on Thursday Night Football down there in Philly yesterday. Really had a tough time getting anything going. Big guy, just your thoughts on just, what took place for the Giants and really kind of your expectations, I guess, following a tough loss like this against a division rival.
Okay, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm really surprised the Giants, what happened in the game, that it didn't go their way. Yeah. I think emotionally, the Philadelphia Eagles were really into the game and fired up to play because they got embarrassed a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Can the Giants match the same energy and everything they had a couple of weeks ago? No, probably not, because it's not at home. They don't have the home crowd just spurring them on. There's nothing like being at home because the environment, throwing the football, everything you do just feels better.
Right.
Because you're used to it. And, but still there were some good things. I thought that once again, just week after week, he's putting another layer on there. Jackson Dart is showing the world that I am a franchise quarterback.
Right.
And my only complaint is make sure that we keep giving him chances to be that guy.
Yeah.
It was rough. Philadelphia, I thought they looked emotional right from the start and all that. And Jalen Hurts, solid game. And then Saquon Barkley finally got in some running lanes to where he had a chance. And early in that game, that first run, I said, oh, my God, he looks fast.
Yeah.
It was right away. He hasn't looked fast to me like that. But it's amazing. Maybe, there's so many factors in why it turns on. They blocked well. The opportunity was there. But, man, he looked rested and fast. And the Eagles, they're just a better team right now. But the Giants have inched a little closer, I think, in what they've done so far this year.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I think that is just ultimately where we need to kind of focus, especially for Giants fans, right, is that the Eagles are just the better football team from top down on their roster, understand just how to win critical football games, very rarely lose two in a row, and always seem to win on their home field, right? The one loss they did have at home was in some unbelievable fashion against the Los Angeles Rams earlier this year, but still just Saquon Barkley, the offensive line, and their ability to just push the New York Giants around. And even your fellow teammate, Carl Banks, had some pretty aggressive opinions about just Dexter Lawrence not performing up to the standard of being sexy Dexy. Your thoughts on just your former player and his view on Dexter Lawrence?
Well, I agree. That was the next point I was gonna bring up. And, of course, Carl Banks, he doesn't know how to do anything but tell the truth. Right. And, he was a great player. And he's not
should be a Hall of Fame player too, by the way. But yes,
yeah, I know but he's not that kind of guy. He's got to get a group together to give him some pub and all that. That's what it takes sometimes to get in the Hall of Fame, which is shameful, but that's what happens. Right. But yeah, I mean, he's going to tell the truth because he knows, and he's trying to tell the fans what is going on. And yes, Dexter Lawrence is not really hit the season yet. In other words, you play a few games, it can be good or bad, but all of a sudden in about the fourth and fifth game, it kicks in, you got it, you're ready, you're in football shape, game shape. And I think it's a big deal. I do, but he's paid a lot of money. They expect him to be a star. And so far this year, it just hasn't been what we've seen in the past.
Yeah. And yeah, we are kind of past that point of the conversation, right? Where we discuss like, all right, you're getting into game shape. You're figuring out how to play again, the lack of reps it's week 9. So I guess the truth of the matter is at this point, Dexter Lawrence just isn't going to be the player that we were expecting him to be this season. Right. And it's unfortunate because we have seen flashes, obviously, from others, of course, Jackson Dart, Cam Scatterboot going out of this football game injured. And now let's just kind of get into
Let's
nitty
do it.
gritty of it, right? And
Why don't
really
you start with Scatterboo? I want because you got a good
yeah.
look.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I think for Cam, right, he just played well again. He was doing some good stuff, and hey, limited sample size, of course, because he gets injured, but
but at the injury, why?
Just disappointed in the fact that the injury was, hey, it was just kind of an add-on, right? It was just more fuel to the fire for me, and it's tough because here I am as an analyst, right, going through all this stuff. I'm a Giants fan. That's the facts. When I watched that game yesterday, it was the first time in my life where I really felt like, wow, the NFL just seems to be kind of going out of their way to make sure that the Eagles secure a win. And they didn't have to because the Eagles were the better team and they were going to win the football game, I thought, no matter what. But at the same time, it just seemed like the shield was protecting the Eagle the entire game. And it starts with the tush push. That tush push that was ruled down by forward progress, which made no sense to me because it's a short yardage situation. We've seen tush pushes last, it seems like, for 9-10 seconds long, where I'm not even sure if anybody's moving, but because the pile just kind of like starts to fall down, they're like, oh no, forward progress continuing. Here in this play, we see Jalen Hurts continuing to move forward, not near the ground, reaching over the line to gain to get the first down. And during that process, Kayvon Thibodeau rips the football out of his hands, secures, right, that fumble. Hey, turnover, right? Giants football. And somehow the referee runs in, marks him down. Then they say that the play was ruled dead, although there was never a whistle heard by anyone in the stadium. And then they just awarded the Eagles a first down and kept it moving. And I thought that was just a huge point in the game. It's only 7-7 at that time. The Eagles are going in right to the low red zone area. And I just felt like the refs did just a lazy ass thing on their end by just awarding the Eagles the ball when Kayvon Thibodeau clearly rips the football out of the quarterback's hands before there is even a whistle for the play to be dead. And I just felt like that was that first instance where I said, wow, this is a doozy. This is one of the most special ones I've seen because we know how controversial the tush push is in the first place. And I felt like this just solidified it for me. The play has to go. It's complete bullshit. It's not football. There is zero advantage for any defense and to line up and to defend it the way that they do it. Not only that, the Eagles false started again on that football play by the guard. And I'm just kind of tired of it. I really am. And I'm tired of the fact that it just seems like every official group kind of does it a little differently. There's no actual way to go about correcting it. And then, of course, it happens right in front of his eyes, and they still ruled a Philadelphia Eagles touchdown. And Philadelphia Eagles first down, and 2 plays later, there's a touchdown. Sorry.
Okay, listen, if you're not a fan of the tush push, it's over. It won't be back next year. I just can't imagine they're going to let it continue because there's too much gray area. It is. It's stopped. But if the official doesn't call it, then other people join. Now we got a mush. And where's it going to fall? And usually it's going to fall forward because what do you do as a defense once the initial hit is over? You don't have a lot of people behind you to push back like that. It's really strange. I was with a crowd of people watching the Giant game, and a lot of them were not Giant fans. In fact, most of them weren't. But everybody was like in agreement. It was a fumble and a fumble recovery.
Yeah.
And it's watching a lot of games from yesterday, watch as much as I could. I saw so many plays where the play was stopped, but then the reinforcements came in, and now it becomes a scrum. I think I'm watching, what is it, the sport over there? I can't think what.
Rugby.
Rugby. There we go. Yeah, no, isn't it terrible? I couldn't remember it, but yeah, it's almost like rugby at times, and it's poorly officiated. Every week you see, your opinion on what you see. And I had an official tell me this once. Remember, when you're on the field, it looks totally different than it does on TV.
Yeah.
On the field, it's three-dimensional. It's not three-dimensional on TV. And I kind of understand that to a degree. Somebody getting hit or pulling down looks probably a little more aggressive in person than it does on TV.
I get that. I get the human part of the game, and I get that it happens fast and all that. But this is also what you do. This is the job that you chose. And it happened right in front of you.
It was terrible.
And when you went into the game, you knew the Philadelphia Eagles are probably going to run a tush push, and that you had to be aware of the line of scrimmage and the yard to gain, and of course having your eyes on the ball. And I feel like the strip happened literally right in front of this referee, and he still marked him down, even though he didn't blow the whistle. That's what drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You never blew the whistle, but yet you have the stones to say, "Oh, forward progress was stopped" after the fact.
Matt, all the officials every week, they're there, they look at the picture. And no matter who you bring in, they see different things in the picture. And that's the same with calling penalties and decisions like that in games.
Agree.
I hope I know I'm totally confident that this is the end of the tush push because of this, but I think it was going that way anyway because everybody, well, whatever. But the other one is pass interference. I just look at it. Man, it's a wide range from no call, an egregious pass interference, or a call deep down the field when you go, oh my God, the receiver had no chance to catch it. Did he really affect the receiver where he could, so that's another one. The area that can be called is here's the middle of the road. Then it's a big factor over here on one side and another factor on that side. And it's always going to be debatable and argued about. And I don't think they'll ever clear this up where it's clear and obvious what is and what isn't.
There's two other plays too that I gotta mention from the Giants game, right? That just drive me nuts, right? The one, of course, is Cam Scatterbo, his injury, the play. That to me was a hip drop, right? So he is going to catch the football, and as he's attempting to catch the football, right, the Eagles defender has his hand on his shoulder. He pulls the shoulder down and then drops all of his weight on Cam Scatterbo's ankle, right? So to me, that's another play where it's like the exact rule was designed for the specific play. No penalty on that one. Now, maybe it technically wasn't a hip drop tackle because Cam Scatterbo never caught the football, but still, it's like, I don't understand. Like, I thought this was made to protect players, right, from injuring other football players. And then the cherry on top to me was the Darius Slayton offensive pass interference. When Quinyon Mitchell is essentially grabbing, tugging, pulling, and then finally Darius Slayton is able to separate on a great throw by Jackson Dart. They call that play back. And that's really where, for me as a fan, I was really disappointed in the Shield. I really was, because I just felt like, man, I get it with the whole Chiefs thing and all that for fans and all that, because that's kind of like taking on a world of itself now. But this particular game and those few plays, especially when we saw on Sunday Night Football expedited review on certain plays, the Roman Wilson touchdown took 2 seconds. It was a touchdown. Next play, boom, done.
Well, but they had the opportunity to see the disaster going on during the day, and they were going to correct some of that thought process at night.
Yeah, and you know what? It's like, hey, too little, too late. Where the hell were the people up there in New York in that command center during the Eagles-Giants game? And don't say like, oh, it's a lesser market. It's Jags, Titans. No, it's the Giants and the Eagles. I mean, half the country's watching these two teams play. So that was really disappointing, and I really think just the NFL, Roger, you got to clean it up like super fast, because I love this football game. I really do. But there has been some moments, I can't lie, this year where I'm like, what the hell am I watching? This is not football, right? So if we're just going to go play flag football, let's just do it, because I feel like we're getting to that point now. Another example too, and this was in favor of the Giants, the Riley Moss pass interference against the Denver Broncos. That was the most ridiculous head scratcher ever there. So I guess ultimately I'm a fan. And I just had to get and vent out a little bit of just my anger, right, towards the referees, right? Oh, also, can we please make them professionals, right? No more amateur stuff. No more, hey, they're part-timers. Make them pros. You guys make like $50 billion a year. You telling me you can't pay for some of these refs, right, full-time, and then also to be able to critique and grade them like automatically, right, and be like on the spot with them, because we can critique coaches, we can critique players, we can critique GMs, refs. No, can't say anything about them, right? So I don't know. I just think we kind of have to open up the door a little bit to some conversations about how the game is refereed and making sure that's a little cleaner across the board.
Well, let me say this. We're not saying anything about this game. I'm not. You're not. We've talked about it and said it. If they got all these calls that went the other way, the Giants still were not going to win.
Exactly. And
So
it's not even about the fact that it was going to help them win. It's
Yeah.
about the fact of just the game being played, at least I feel like in a more ethical way, right? In a straight up way, where it actually gives the other team a little opportunity, right, to fight back. And I think that's what was most disappointing for me, is that it just seemed like the refs, it was like, no matter what, it's the Eagles' day, and let's just keep it moving, you know? And it's like, great, they're 6-2. And now the Giants coaching staff is one game closer to, hey, starting to pack up their stuff, because the NFL just wasn't going to do anything to help them out today. So that's on you.